people's lives, including changing our lives. That's part of the narrative in that sense. But to stay in contact with the humanity of black people means you're going to get in trouble. Because you're going to be over against somebody else's conception of narrowing black humanity, either to just victimhood, or just creative response, or just...
Good morning. That's Cornel West on the bottom, if you've never heard of him. And that's Glenn Loury. Cornel West is an American philosopher and theologian, and teaches, has taught at Princeton, has taught at Harvard, has taught at, I think, General, or either General Seminary or Union Seminary, one of the two, in New York. General Seminary was the one I was accepted in, but Union Seminary, I think, is the one he teaches at. And Glenn Loury is an economist from Brown University, and Teodros is the co-editor of a book about Cornel West, so that's why he's there as well. But so very interesting discussion. There's Cornel West's, one of his books. If you look him up, you'll discover that he's got quite a few out there, and quite a few videos. He's involved in an awful lot of things online, and in person, of course. But today we're talking about pragmatism, American pragmatism. So as we continue to look at post-Hegelianism and its impact on the world, remember we've already talked about existentialism on the one hand, Marxism on the other, utilitarianism. Remember we talked about with John Stuart Mill, and notice in the beginning of the book Pragmatism by William James, who's one of the ones that we will look at today, notice that he dedicates this book to the memory of John Stuart Mill, as he says, from whom I first learned the pragmatic openness of mind, and whom my fancy likes to picture as our leader were he alive today. And notice that my question for the, what did I do with it? I guess I have to go back. My question for today's quiz question is, it's called the second quiz question because it's the second one of the week, right? Monday's the first and Wednesday's second, is how do pragmatism and utilitarianism differ? How do the two of them differ? We think of British philosophy as utilitarian, and American philosophy we call pragmatist, but I'm not sure what the difference is. So it's well worth looking at to see what you think might be the difference. The definition of pragmatism, well, as James says, it's a new name for some old ways of thinking. And this is a terrific, notice the whole book is here. I think all of William James's works are online that are worth looking at, I suppose. A few years ago, I noticed at Barnes and Noble's here in town that the one book of his, The Varieties of the Religious Experience, which ties in with the discussion that Cornel West and Glenn Loury were having, if you were here for a little bit. Yes?
Is there a reason you call it Barnes and Noble?
Yeah, I like to do that because it's fun.
It's Barnes and Noble. You just say Barnes and
I always say ignobles because, for no reason, really. No reason. It's just.
I wasn't sure if you had another opinion.
Pardon?
I just figured you were just being pretentious.
It's Barnes and Noble, like a bookstore. He always says Barnes and Ignoble.
No reason. No reason especially. I just enjoy playing with language.
Why do you call anything anything?
Because it's usually anything. That's why. Someone asked me the other day, I said, you haven't said anything, which is unusual for me. And I said, well, I can say anything in multiple languages. And then I began thinking to myself, what would be anything in German? What would it be in French? And what would it be in Russian? And you know what? I don't think it translates, actually. Not very well. It's always going to be something that's not quite the same in the other ones. So, sorry about that, but yes, that's, I suppose, a tick on my part, or a quirk. And it's just fun. And actually, my kids all refer to it as Barnes and Ignobles as well. I don't know why, but I mean, we go there a lot. Our Sunday routine would be to go to the Anchorage Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at 9 o'clock, where we would attend for an hour and 15 minutes. It's really a philosophy club. It's not a church. And so there's always a different speaker talking about a different topic of different sorts. Could be anything about nature, about racism, could be about all sorts of things. And then after that, we would go to Barnes and Nobles, and everybody would buy, each kid would buy a book. This is each week. That's kind of, right? They would each buy a book, and then we would go to Denny's, which used to be, right nearby. We would have breakfast while everybody, read their books while they were waiting, for their eggs or whatever. And then from there, we would always go to the municipal greenhouse on the way home, right? That's the next place. And we'd go in there and we'd read in there for a while, and everybody could breathe. Even in February, you get tropical air in there, right? It's on the bar. Have you ever been to the greenhouse, municipal greenhouse? It's terrific. It's not very big. It's usually open from, I think, 10 to 3 every day. But if you go in, you've got 2 main rooms. One room is like a tropical forest with banana tree and a pond and all kinds of tropical flowers around it. And then the other room is all like a desert with cacti and all kinds of desert-like plants. And it's old enough that it's got trees and everything. Municipal green. You found it? Good. Yeah, it's that. Oh, you can't see that part. That's where they're growing right now. All the flowers that they put all around town, they grow those in the greenhouses up there. But you can visit the greenhouse. Oh, it's 8 to 3:30. Oh, that's pretty good. But yes, you can go in and visit. Oh well.
Does it cost something to get in?
No, it's free.
That's weird.
And you could go in and just sit there and go, even in February, it's neat because the ice forms on the roof, and it's like, icicles just coming down the glass, and the cactus is like hugging the glass on this side. So you've got cactus and ice. It's just so incredibly weird to be in there. And so we would always go there. That was what we would call our vitamin plant. After being at Denny's, we would go and have vitamin plant for about an hour or so. And you got to be careful though, because your new books, if you're sitting on one of the benches, they've got benches. They have people have weddings there. So that's kind of a neat thing. It's not that big a place, so it can't be that big a wedding. But we've seen people getting married there. But if you're sitting at one of the benches, every so often the spritzers go on, but it's dry enough that the spritz usually doesn't come all the way down, but it just moistens the air. But if you're under where it might drop, you might get a drop or two on the book, so be careful. But it's really neat. And they have koi fish. Koi, the little, yeah, they're in the pond. And there's cages of birds that people have given up. So it's like a bird sanctuary where you have parakeets and a couple of cockatiels, and the cockatiels are so friendly. They come over and they talk to you. So you can just it's really neat. So it's a great place to go. I loved it so much. I said to my wife, you know how men talk to wives, you know, wives, more than one wife. No, you only can have one in this, you know, culture.
In like different areas?
Yeah.
No, do you?
No. We've been married 15. No.
No double life.
No double life. One is enough.
People, so we can have no time. I was joking.
But I mean, I said to her, you know, we really ought to have one of these at home. And so we built the solarium many years ago. And so we have our own. It's only 15 by 15 attached to the house, but you go out and you've got, you know.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Can you
Sounds
read in
100%
there?
worth it.
Yeah, it's well worth it because you get light even in the winter. I mean, we don't heat it separately, and it has a vent from the house, which the mice especially are fond of because that's how they can get, you know, into the house. But the temperature hovers like around 45-ish in the coldest periods. But still, we found a lot of plants will thrive anyway.
The sunlight's big thing.
Yeah.
What
So
kind of plants are in your greenhouse?
the ones that we cannot kill are the jade plants.
Oh yeah.
Jade plants, even if like a leaf falls off, you just stick it in the ground, and voila, you have another plant. And in fact, if you look, you've got jade.
You could grow some onions. You know, like those onions, you just put it in water after Have you seen those?
Like garlic?
videos? Yeah, you just, serious, no.
Also with potatoes
Well,
and
like,
avocados.
you just like put it to the rim, and then you could even just put it in like a bowl. It doesn't even have to be in your greenhouse. Just like you know the small, what are they called? The small
The radishes?
No, they're a type of onion, but they're small
Shallots.
ones. What?
Shallot?
I don't know. They're
Green
small
ones?
ones. Yeah, maybe green onions. The small little ones.
The Lady of
But then
Shalott.
You just put them in a little thing, and then they grow like perfectly. Best in oil though.
Okay, let's go back to
Not
how
water.
did we get into that? I don't know.
You talked
I
about
don't know.
your Sunday routine.
Oh right.
So when we went there, on the philosophy shelf was William James' Varieties of the Religious Experience,
Yes.
which was written over 100 years ago. In fact, as of now, it would be 123 years ago, because he wrote that. That was an Edinburgh lecture. He gave the Gifford Lecture for 1900. So that's pretty old. And a neighbor of his at Harvard, named Josiah Royce, responded with his book the next year, which was The Source of Religious Inspiration. Did I say that right? Did I remember that right? So not inspiration, but insight. So there you go. By the way, this book is absolutely excellent.
No.
This is a side note. Do you know what's going on with the Philosophy 314, the Abrahamic religions? I didn't see any posted sessions for it. And
314 is Eastern, or is it?
Abrahamic religions.
Oh, okay. So it used to be Western. We used to have a pair, Western and Eastern, and I think
Yeah, so they still offer Eastern religions and all that stuff, but then the pair with the 314 Abrahamic, they're not forecasting any classes for it, according to you.
we might not have anyone right now that's doing it. That's the problem. We used to have Kristen Hansen. She retired, disappeared, poof, gone. I think she went with the aliens that, you know, did anybody see Arrival? Okay. I think she went. I don't know. No, seriously, that could be we don't have someone right now who feels that they can do it. I could do it, but I can't because it's a 300 level, and even though I used to teach 300 level courses here years ago, once we had enough money and resources that they could hire PhDs, I was no longer eligible to do 300 level courses. I haven't done them ever since. It's sad, but nonetheless, it's okay though. I have a lot of fun doing this.